And I'm carrying on with the God debate. This is Atheism, a Scourge on Humanity, Part 3. How did we evolve from a mindless, random, non-living atomic chemical concoction absent a conscious intellect into a neuro-based, complex, self-aware organism capable of reasoning and self-sufficiency? Let me break that down for you. At the beginning, without the benefit of any brain or neural function, an unproven to exist cellular glob creature miraculously obtained strategically deployable survival techniques, as well as the ability to develop and coordinate an unconscionably precise maze of involuntary, biochemical, and physiological functions required to live. You know, like the way our heart beats on its own, nobody does anything, nobody has to pump it up or anything, those kind of things. And all the systems inside the body just run on their own. Well, it takes a brain to operate all those systems, okay? That's just to live for 1 second after somehow self-assembling into a primitive life form. If there was a functioning brain, what was the impetus for its formation? What was the impetus for its formation? Was it magic? Put simply, how could a cellular Frankenstein possibly develop any kind of brain in the midst of undirected atomic anarchy without an outside intellect perceiving the need and then engineering the dynamic instigating its formation? And how would mindless self-made cells, come on, man, which themselves were formed out of complex component parts and systems and an inexplicable life spark, which nobody has a clue of, on their own ever develop the physiological dynamic for instigating cognitive function if the creature's primitive form had not yet developed the physiological framework to enable the function of any centralized neural processors or physical development of such in the first place? Was it sorcery? Was it witchcraft? Also, I'm just curious in general, what was the mechanism in those early cells that produced the differentiated, undesigned matter infrastructure that formed working cell-constructed tissues, all varieties, which then metamorphosized into separate, differentiated, symbiotically. Now, symbiotically, that just means they work together. They depend on one another. And functionally interdependent organs and glands, and additionally into the numerous intricately woven systems essential for functioning. Science implies that the human designer is simply millions of years and random accidents. Millions of years, and I guess quadrillions of random accidents, all successful, by the way. It's all a ludicrous fantasy. It's a farce. In other words, according to science folklore, provided enough time, given the right environmental and atmospheric conditions, and the right coincidentally combined lifeless chemical solutions by happenstance or luck, an organic being of unconscionable complexity consisting of trillions and trillions of absolutely essential symbiotically connected component elements, as well as countless levels of physiologically essential interactive biochemical systems required to operate as an independent entity, can self-assemble without a causal agent or God, a design, a reason, or a purposeful direction. Think about it. Although I admit it's inconceivable to me how God created an organic machine as complex as a human being, which science tells us consists of trillions of matter atoms, which are likewise composed of complex components sustained by scores of extraordinarily intricate, coordinated, interactive operating systems for each essential part. Obviously, I'm clueless how it's done, but I'm logically compelled to insist via the laws of statistical probability that it isn't the product of undirected mindless atoms acting on their own. It's ironic to think that most scientists can't conceive of an invisible being so great as to engineer and construct a universe, but they can conceive the same from a lifeless, invisible quantum realm. That's just the realm where atoms live, okay? Just so you know. What fools they are, and how evil, or at least deviously deluded, are the atheists who have intentionally wielded these obscenely preposterous scientific propositions into weapons against God and his faithful. And to those who are mindlessly led by them, be aware of, or at least consider, the path of your soul's eternal destination. It is my intention here to open you to the possibility that we're not a statistically blasphemous series of accidents, but rather spiritual beings put here by a benevolent deity. And additionally, through the power of deductive and inductive reasoning, I will offer conclusive evidence as to the reality of God's Son, Jesus Christ, our last vestige for hope. And on to Scourge, Part 4.